where you buy your food from directly impacts climate change?
What?
In this video, I'm going to explore the idea of sustainable eating as climate activism. I'll share the context to where I got this information from, I'll bust the myth of homesteading as being an easy way to self-sufficiency, and I'll share the ways that you can make climate-conscious food choices in your daily life from this year onwards.
Even as a city dweller.
Oh, welcome back.
G'day.
Welcome to 2025.
It's halfway through January.
Is it? Where does time go?
I don't know, man.
Time is a weird soup.
What?
Never mind. Everyone has set their goals and resolutions for the new year, going to the gym, getting fit, working out, eating clean.
That doesn't last very long.
It's a weird time of year. You suddenly had a chance to stop and reset. This hustle of daily life pauses over Christmas, and you can look back at your year and ask yourself, what did I achieve?
Yeah, not quite as much as I wanted, to be honest.
Same here. I wanted to be more of a climate activist, and what did I do?
Started a YouTube channel?
Yeah, now I make silly gardening videos on the internet. Did that really make any progress to address the huge issue of climate change?
Yeah, probably not.
Exactly. I get really frustrated when I think about the state of the world and how slowly things move to address the climate crisis. I feel like I can't do anything to help because I'm just me. One little human on this giant rock. And that makes me really sad.
Jeez, this got dark real quick.
So in this video, I'm going to share what you and I can do in our daily lives, specifically around our food choices. Everybody's got to eat, so you may as well make it your form of climate activism.
Are you going to tell us all to be vegan? I'm out of here.
No, I'm not. It's more about choosing where you get your food from and how that food is produced. It's not about drastic diet changes, though if you want to do that, go for it. I'm personally allergic to many forms of vegan protein, so it's just not an option for some people.
Ah. Alright, tell me all about it then.
But first, some context. So over the break between Christmas and New Year's, I had the absolute privilege of attending the Woodford Folk Festival in Queensland.
The Woodford what now?
It's a magical place and the largest gathering of artists and musicians in Australia. It's a week-long camping festival which attracts a community of wonderful people who all care about the environment. It's more than a music festival. There's talks, comedy, cabaret and circus shows. There's craft, dance and circus workshops, there's late night dance parties and early morning yoga.
Oh yeah, that does sound pretty cool actually.
And the site of Woodford itself is an active regeneration site. They're regenerating an old dairy farm to turn it into a subtropical rainforest. So of course we went to a lot of the environmental talks.
Of course you did.
And several addressed this feeling of powerlessness that a lot of us have. The feeling that it's only big businesses that can solve the climate crisis and we as individuals are powerless.
And the big businesses ain't doing it fast enough.
Exactly. But it's not true. There was one particular panel discussion which really resonated with me and I wanted to share my takeaways from it. The talk was called Sustainable Eating as Activism.
Oh, I'm gonna need a pen.
And the panel was with Costa from Gardening Australia, Kerry Gill and Kirsty Bishop-Fox. I'll put their links in the description below if you want to know more about them and the work they do. So let's talk about food choices. And as they said, how every food choice you make holds power.
What?
Meaning what food and where you buy it from has a direct impact on the climate crisis.
What do you mean? That's not relevant to you. Surely you're completely self-sufficient from your giant garden. You don't need to go to the supermarket at all.
It's easy to think that, but a fully self-sufficient lifestyle in this modern world is kind of a myth. Or if it's not, then it's a full-time job. Yes, it is possible for someone with a garden to grow and produce maybe around 80 to 90% of the fresh fruit and veg that they need. And I have in fact achieved that myself here, to the most part.
Oh, well, la-dee-da, good for you.
Thanks! But you can't get past the fact that you still need to buy other things, and I do still need to buy other things.
Unless you're gonna, like, completely restructure your diet.
Okay, so unless you're going to eat solely root vegetables as carbs, go vegan and only use the flavours you can grow yourself.
No thanks.
Right, so you'll want other forms of carbs. Now, I don't grow rice or wheat because the land area and effort involved for the yield is just ridiculous. Growing a tiny grain that I then have to thresh or husk and deal with, I don't even know how to grind wheat, how to make it into flour, and then make it into bread.
Yeah, that is a lot of work. You make your own bread though.
Yep, and that's enough work for me. Aside from grains, you'll still need the basics for preserving your produce like salt, sugar, and vinegar. Not to mention oil and dairy products like milk, yogurt and cheese.
Oh, and chocolate. You can't go without chocolate. You could keep a cow or a goat for dairy though.
Yes, if you have the land and want to keep and care for those animals, you can do that. But for the average person, even for me, it's just not really an option. And again, it becomes incredibly time consuming to make all of these things from scratch for yourself and your family, so it's just not realistic. And most people aren't interested in doing that either. Do you want to get up at 4 AM to milk a cow every day and then make cheese and yogurts for your breakfast?
Hell nah!
Exactly. So while it's a pipe dream for many, it's just not realistic for most people in the modern age. So we need a different solution. So we can agree that everyone has to buy some food from somewhere. Yes?
Yes.
So this is when we start to think about the modern industrial food system and everything that goes into that. There are 2 to 4 big supermarket chains which control most of what our society eats. You all know their names. They're the ones that manage the global supply chains and import food from all over the place. Just transporting this food around the world emits a lot of greenhouse gases, and that's without getting into all the ways that industrial agriculture contributes to the climate crisis. There's a lot of more specific informational videos and documentaries about industrial agriculture and all the ways it negatively impacts the climate, so you can go look at those.
Look up documentaries. You always give me homework.
Let's just say that most studies estimate that food and agriculture is responsible for 25 to 35% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Bloody Nora, that's a lot. But there's nothing I can do about that. Like, we've all got to eat.
Yep, everybody's got to eat. But you can choose to stop supporting that specific food production system. This is when we come back to where you're buying your food from and how it's grown or raised.
What do you mean?
Let's work backwards and use a tomato as an example. But this applies to any product on a shelf in a supermarket.
Tomatoes.
So a tomato from one of the big supermarkets has likely been imported from somewhere.
Ooh, like Spain. It's often from Spain, I think. I haven't done any research on that though.
So it's already created a bunch of emissions just by travelling from where it was grown to where you're buying it on the shelf.
So I need to grow my own instead then?
If you can and you want to grow your own, sure, but that's not possible for everyone.
Says the lady running a gardening channel.
So let's think about how it was grown. If a tomato comes from an industrial farm, it's been grown on a large scale, which means it's farmed using big machines, fed by fossil fuels, which create emissions, fertilised with synthetic fertilisers, which are shown to deplete soil health in the long run and poison waterways. Plus, the production of synthetic fertilisers also produces greenhouse gases. Not to mention, the tomatoes are sprayed with pesticides and fungicides and then harvested before they're even fully ripe, so that they can survive the trip from wherever it came from to your supermarket.
You mean from Spain?
I'm trying not to single things out here.
Oh, sorry.
So you buying this tomato from a big supermarket supports that entire emissions-producing system of industrial agriculture.
So if I can't grow my own, or for the stuff that I can't grow, where am I supposed to get my food from?
You buy from local sources. By supporting a local farmer directly, you're bypassing that supermarket system altogether. You're supporting local food supply chains, local businesses, and the local economy. And you don't support those giant price-gouging supermarkets.
What about steak and cheese? Like meat and dairy stuff?
Well, whether you're buying fresh produce or meat and dairy, you should look into buying from farmers who use regenerative farming practices.
Regenerative Agriculture.
This is a holistic land management system which focuses on improving soil health and reducing greenhouse gas emissions by storing them above and below ground.
That's a lot of buzzwords.
I recommend the documentary Rachel's Farm to learn more about regenerative farming practices when it comes to raising animals in this way. Organic farms are also a great place to buy food from.
That sounds like a lot more effort and research to get my weekly groceries.
Yeah, but farmers markets exist. You can often get a bit of everything there and actually meet the people who produced your food.
Farmers markets are so much more expensive.
Are they? Have you ever been there to check and compare the prices?
Well, no, I haven't.
And that's without even mentioning that the quality and taste of fresh local food is far superior.
Really?
Yeah, this tomato that travelled across the world was not harvested at peak ripeness. It was picked while green so that it could ripen on the journey over. That means it doesn't have as many nutrients and won't taste nearly as good as this tomato that's been left to ripen on the vine and you got from Farmer Bob at the markets.
Get on you, Bob.
So not only is it a matter of helping the earth by making different food purchasing choices, it's a matter of giving your body much better tasting and healthier food.
Oh yeah, because isn't like commercial agriculture like all genetically modified or something like that?
Yes, they're mostly bred to be pest and disease resistant and not for the most nutrients. You'd think the bugs would want to eat the stuff with the most nutrients, right?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There's no farmer's market near me though. I live in the middle of a city.
Well, there's also independent grocery stores that have more local supply chains, and then you get to support a local farmer and a local shopkeeper. There are also all kinds of different delivery businesses that support farmers directly, but again, ideally you want to find and buy from the farmers who are using regenerative and organic practices where you can.
Ah, so now I've got to find a local delivery service as well.
If you, the viewers, have any recommendations for such delivery services for city dwellers, please let me know in the comments, because it's not an area that I've done a lot of research in myself yet.
Ugh, but it's so much more effort and research to go all the way to a farmer's market or find a shop which stocks local stuff.
Yep, it is. But for those of us feeling all squiggly about the climate crisis, maybe we can consider altering our routines just a little bit to help the planet.
Sassy much, but yeah, right, you make a fair point.
You have to buy food from somewhere. So if everyone can be a little bit more conscious about where our food comes from and how it's produced, then we are all doing our little part to help support the right systems.
Okay, I get it.
That's not to mention the fact that the global supply chains are really easily disrupted, especially with the increases in natural disasters.
Oh, you're not done yet.
Nope. Remember in 2020 during the COVID lockdowns?
I'm trying to forget it.
The shelves were empty in your local supermarket, weren't they?
Yeah, that was from people hoarding toilet paper though.
And sometimes it was from the global supply chains breaking down. There are so many moving parts involved in getting your tomato from
Spain
to your supermarket. So if, for example, it's a really rainy year in Spain and all of the tomato crops are wiped out from blight, then suddenly your supermarket in Australia and wherever else they're exported to isn't getting any of those tomatoes. But Farmer Bob down the road, he's still got his homegrown tomatoes.
Good on you, Bob.
So if you've already been supporting Bob and his farm, then you'll make sure that Bob is still there growing these tomatoes when everyone else suddenly has to look elsewhere for their tomatoes.
Oh, and I'll get first pick as a loyal customer of Farmer Bob, right?
Well, I don't know, it's a hypothetical, so it would be up to Farmer Bob.
What? Oh, we're tight, me and Farmer Bob, it's fine. I'll go to the farmer's market.
It's not just about what one individual does, it's about what we all collectively do. We are going to need to change our daily habits if we are going to save this planet. It's not just up to the big businesses, it's up to all of us to make some little changes in our own lives. And yes, it is a convenience adjustment and a mindset adjustment.
And sometimes a wallet adjustment.
Yes, sometimes it can cost a bit more, so please only do this if and when you can afford it. It's a multifaceted issue, and I'm not saying this is the be-all and end-all solution.
Oh yeah, there's also like use your green bags, reduce the amount of packaged products you get, use keep caps, beeswax wraps, silicone Ziploc bags, compost, recycle.
Yeah, we know all those.
All right then.
But since food is something we all have to spend our money on anyway, we may as well vote for the earth with our wallets by supporting the right systems. And that is something that I will be doing with my food purchases this year. So if everyone who watches this video can change their shopping habits just a few times this year,
yeah, that'll be like 12 people if you're lucky.
You're so pessimistic.
Yeah, sorry, I'm working on it. One of my resolutions.
So I hope this video has helped you feel slightly more empowered about the whole climate conundrum and giving you some things to think about. How can you make more sustainable food choices in 2025? It's not about being perfect, it's just about doing something.
Who's with us? Yeah! Oh no.
If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every second Tuesday. If you have any other ideas on how the average human can help the climate crisis, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to chat about it. And let's try and make this a great year for sustainability. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a fortnight. Bye!
Oh yeah, I feel unfairly singled out as the vegetable in this video.
Ah, shut it.
Also, we don't all come from Spain.
Technically, you're a fruit.
Shut up!
I need a tomato. This is very dense. I need another tomato.